Welcome to the More Gems Show. I'm Steve Moriarty, your host, and tonight we're featuring custom designed rings, many of them by my nephew, Christopher Michael, who's also here with us tonight. If you have any questions about custom design, he's here to help us. Also with us are Michael, my son, who is in charge of production, and Jeffrey, who will be our chat moderator. Hi, Jeff.
Hello, Steve.
So we've opened up this week. We've had a couple of days open here in Crown Point, and I don't think that Jeffrey in Illinois has opened up yet.
Nope.
What's going on over there?
Yeah, I'm out in Naperville for anybody that's out there, but no, that's part of the reason I've been wearing a hat the last few shows. My hair is getting kind of out of control, but no, I think our governor said maybe at the end of the week some things are going to open up, but definitely not as free as Indiana is right now. So,
and I know you're having a lot of difficulty with it because you've worked out almost every day since you were 16.
I know.
Yeah, and how old are you now? Been a lot of years.
25. No, yeah, it's been tough, for anybody that lifts or anything. But, I got some stuff at home that I actually got from your guys' house when I was a kid.
'Cause I'm not used to it. Yeah.
But it's
Although
tough.
I was going to the gym regular.
Yeah, you were. Yeah. But your guys is opening up soon, so start getting some healthy stuff in, maybe.
So, all right. Like I said, tonight we're featuring rings. You can see everything that's available on MoreGems.com. And at the top of the main screen, there's a green banner that you can click on. And it'll show you all the items we're featuring tonight. And tonight we're offering 20% off on all these pieces. So you'll use coupon code RINGSHOW. So we have some great things to show you, and if you decide to purchase something, we have a variety of ways that you can pay. We, of course, use credit card. You can pay through PayPal. We have financing online, and you can also set up a layaway. You have to call us probably tomorrow to do that. But we do offer up to 6 months with regular payments with 20% down. So we're trying to help you out and getting into a fine piece of jewelry, and you're going to see some cool pieces tonight. The pieces that we offered last week, we did the opal show, and all the items were 50% off. We sold many pieces, but there's still quite a few left. We did very well at that show, but you can still, through tomorrow, order any of those pieces, which are also on the site. And where do we find those?
Those should be under the, there's a gem show drop-down box.
Okay, at the top, there's, to the far right, there's a gem show.
Just navigation.
Yeah, in the navigation bar, it says gem shows, and you can click on that, and it'll show you what we did last week. And take an opportunity to take a look at those, because there's some really great opals on there, and a lot less than there was last week, but there's still some beauties on there. So starting tonight, we're featuring rings, and the first one up is a design by Christopher Michael, which he won a prestigious award in the computer designing category. It was the Matrix 2010, I think, when he originally did this piece. And Matrix is the program that's used, and it's Gem Vision Matrix. And this design was a design that all the other designers in the contest who picked this as the best of show. And it is a beautiful piece, highly detailed. You can see underneath and the top, just a beautiful piece of work. This is in 14, or is this in 18? This is an 18 karat yellow gold. Got a stone that came from Uruguay. I cut the stone. It's a step cut. And Uruguay, up till the Rwanda source, was the finest source available. And you can see the beauty of the color. So it's a really beautiful piece. $32.90 is what we have it online for. So take 20% off that, and you'll end up with having a really fine piece of jewelry. You know, let me give you an idea of size here, maybe. My big fingers. But a nice piece of jewelry. And this is a piece, you know, as all these pieces, we can produce this piece for any stone we own almost. You know, if you see something online that you like, most of the items we're going to show you tonight, we can create a custom piece. So next up is a really unusual stone. This is Alexandrite-like garnet. This material comes from Madagascar, and I started going to Madagascar in early 2000s, and this was the reason I went. I went with my main concern coming up with more of the Alexandrite-like garnets that come from Bikili in Madagascar. I didn't find any, and all the trips I went there, I only found one piece, you know, but they do come out, they dribble out, and much of the material I find actually comes via Bangkok or Sri Lanka, because those are people that are there all the time. So they manage to find a piece occasionally, and I have connections to the people that are going there regular. And so 3 or 4 pieces a year is about all I get. You know, there's so little production there. There's a little more production in Kenya and Tanzania, but the quality of the color change is just not the same. This material from Bikili changes just like an Alexandrite does. I mean, it'll change from a bluish, you know, even more blue than what this purple shows. It'll change from a reddish to a kind of a bluish green color. The red color will show in incandescent light, and the blue, you know, it's kind of a mix of blue and purple. You know, the stone that you're going to see is not quite that purple, but very difficult to photograph them. So, but the color change is very dramatic on it. This is a carat 66, which is a big stone. You know, if this were an Alexandrite would be $20,000 plus for a stone that did basically the same thing as this. You know, and this stone, I get it there. This stone has a rarity even greater than what Alexandrite has. So it's really a beautiful stone. The piece 4260, I mean, it's got very fine diamonds accenting the piece. Another design that Chris did. So really nice pendant, just a rare piece. So with the coupon code RINGSHOW, you're going to get 20% off this tonight. The next piece up is an estate piece. I've had this for a while. It's big, very bold piece, but really an amazing piece of work. You know, this is it's almost an ounce of pure gold. It's 14 karat gold. It's like 1.4 ounces total. So just a lot of gold in this. There is $1,500. If you scrapped it, it's $1,500 of gold. You know, and you look at the workmanship. Whoever did this, it's not stamped, but whoever did this just did a beautiful job. Everything about it is just really remarkable. On the back, the clasp is they open up right here. Each of these opens, so you can fit it over something a little larger. You can get it over pearls or a large chain. But just look at the workmanship, and the amethysts that are in it are beautiful. So if you know somebody that really into wine or has a vineyard, this is just a really remarkable piece, just a large piece. $3,250. If you had to make this, you know, we're looking in the 10 grand range for somebody to sit down and make this piece with the amount of gold that's in it. So $3,250, it'd be like $640 off that. So a little over $2,500 piece. You know, just really a remarkable piece. It's pictured on some natural pink pearls that we have. They're kind of lavender colored, but you can put it on pearls or on a chain.
You
So
show us the size of it, Steve?
Sure. Yeah. Kind of get an idea of the size. So it's big and bold, you know, but there are women out there that just love this piece.
20% off, right?
Yep, 20% off that with the coupon code Ring Show. All right, next piece. This is really an extraordinary piece. This was also done for a contest. Unfortunately, not a winner, but it's a winner. I mean, really, it's a beautiful piece. How it could not have won, I couldn't quite understand. Everything about it really extraordinary. The quality of the aquamarine, just the workmanship Chris put into this piece. You know, everything about it is just extraordinary. Those are actually blue zircons on the side that are accenting the piece. You know, easier to get blue zircons in this small size with a nice color than to get aquas. So we went with the blue zircons because they're very brilliant stones. They have a diamond-like brilliance, and they match the aqua real well. You know, but this aqua weighs 17 carats. I cut it. It's a Barian style cut. It comes from Madagascar, which is my favorite source of aquamarines. If you've seen the aquas we've offered recently, they've been Madagascar, just because of the purity of the blue. You know, just really extraordinary aquas that come out of Madagascar. You know, so this piece is actually built in palladium white gold. Palladium is a platinum group metal that is naturally white, unlike white gold, which we have to force to be white. That's never quite pure white, but this is just a pure white material. So we decided to use this so you don't have to rhodium plate it. You don't worry about it. It's totally allergy free. So is the other benefit of palladium white gold. So great piece, not an inexpensive piece, but it's just extraordinary throughout. I mean, big stone, big bold piece, heavy, 19.8, so 20% off that is about $4,000. So you're down in the 15.8, somewhere around there. You know, but everything about it just extraordinary. The quality of the diamonds, the quality of the aquamarine, and the craftsmanship. Just a really unique design. And you show it on a big finger here, and you know, so it's a big piece, but not too big to wear. It's bold, but just a really remarkable piece. And up next, one of our favorites. This is what we featured last week is the opals. And this one I cut this week, and really extraordinary stone. You know, when I took the video of the stone, I looked at it and I go, can't be that good. You know, I have to say it was very photogenic and, you know, it's not quite that good. But I took it out in sunlight today, and it is that good. You know, the quality of this opal is second to none. I mean, it really has remarkable colors. It is considered to be black. You know, the stuff from, this comes from Ethiopia, and it's a little more brown, but anything that's not a white base is deeper color is considered black. And you can see even in this light with the iPhone, just beautiful colors. You know, but the pictures you just saw are not exaggerated. You know, this is just an extraordinary opal. So the price on our website is $27.75, weighs 9 carat 25. I think it may be inexpensive at that. When you look at Australian black opals, they can be thousands per carat. Literally 5,000, 10,000 per carat. Might get argument whether this stone's as good as what they have, but they're really an amazing stone. Something worth owning, make a great pendant. And Jeff, it's also a sail. It's a sail shape, so we could make a sailboat out of this one. If you haven't watched the last shows, we've had some sailboat discussions, and this would qualify as also as a sail shape. Yeah. So this is, again, this black material is crystal black. So if you shine a light through this, you can actually see through it. It's kind of unique, the material from Ethiopia. And the colors are just beautiful. So with coupon code Ring Show, you're going to get 20% off this price for the next week. Question?
Yeah, just two quick questions. Well, the way you answer questions, I'm not sure they're going to be two quick questions, but we have somebody asking about looking for specimens if they want to go out and search for them.
Uh-huh.
Maybe someone mentioned, of course, the Tucson Gem Show or the New York Show. Any countries you'd recommend or any other areas in the States?
Finding yourself or just finding material to cut or just...
He did not say. Just to
Okay,
collect
well,
specimens.
Collect
them.
specimens. Well, I saw that somebody is down in Arkansas, one of our viewers, and that's a cool place to go because, a lot of places you go and do your own mining, you don't find anything. You'll be there all day, and if you're lucky, you find a okay specimen. But if you go to Arkansas and look for quartz, you're going to find lots of quartz, so it's fun from that standpoint. I would like to go back, and I probably will take the kids down there, no longer kids, but take my family down there and just go for fun, because you walk around and every 5 minutes you're finding some nice, interesting quartz crystal. And you can also go to the diamond mines that are down there. Good luck finding something there. You probably won't, but they do find valuable stones there. You can go to Montana for sapphires. There are some fee digs in California, and of course we've talked before about the sunstone, which we have some material coming up that we found in Oregon. And you can also go to Nevada for opal. So there's quite a few places in the U.S. to go. Madagascar, of course, is a great place to go. I've spent quite a few trips there, and I wish I'd actually done some mining. But when you go mining, it takes a lot of time, and when I go on a trip, I'm going to find material, and I've got to pay for the trip. And mining is never a sure thing. It's almost a sure thing you're not going to find anything more than you are going to find something. So there are places to go. Tanzania is no longer available for doing that. They've restricted everything in Tanzania. You have to buy from licensed dealers, or you can go to jail. So that's one country that's not available.
One last question. With the ring that was from 18 karat palladium, 18 karat golden palladium, he's wanting to know if, can you do something like that, the palladium with rose gold, and is palladium stronger or better than white gold? 2 questions.
Chris, you know the answer to that? You can't do rose gold with palladium that I know. Yeah, there's no mix for making palladium into rose, just like there isn't for platinum. As far as the durability of palladium, similar to platinum. Is it harder than platinum? Not that platinum is that soft, but
I think it's as malleable as platinum, but
so it's similar to platinum. And the being hypoallergenic is the big plus for it. And it is expensive as platinum now, isn't it? Yeah. It used to be that it was the bargain. When we made that piece, palladium was cheaper than platinum, but now platinum's probably cheaper than palladium or similar. So there's not a big price benefit anymore. Right now, platinum's really a bargain in the metals market, because it's $900 an ounce, maybe gold's $1,700 an ounce, rhodium's $2,500 an ounce. So platinum's actually the bargain, even though it does still cost more to make a platinum piece just because of the weight of platinum. Weighs 1.6 times what gold does, and the metal you use is much purer than what gold is, because platinum you're using 90 to 95%, and gold you're using from 58 to 75% gold in the pieces we cast. So platinum's still twice as expensive, but it used to be 3 times as expensive. So platinum's kind of a bargain right now.
All right, quick answer, everybody. Just want to do a shout out to Timmy, who is my cousin's son, and he wanted to know if that's a vault behind you.
It is a vault. That door on that vault weighs 20,000 pounds. The walls that surround our vault are 18 inches thick concrete and filled with rebar. So it is a fairly secure place to put the stones we have.
All right.
Okay. All right, next up is, what is next up? Another Christopher Michael design. Another bold piece. These are some bigger items. And just a really nice heavy piece. This is in sterling silver, and the bezel that's around the stone is 18 karat yellow gold. And the center stone is a citrine that we cut here. I'm not sure if I cut it or if Marcia cut it. Probably Marcia cut it. But really beautiful piece with fine diamonds going around it. So we did it in sterling because in gold this would weigh, it'd be an ounce of gold in it, and we'd have to get $6,000 instead of $2,300. But really beautiful piece, Portuguese cut round citrine that comes from Bolivia. Not from Bolivia, I'm sorry, from Uruguay. This material was readily available, but we're not seeing much of this citrine available anymore. Not sure what's going on in Uruguay, but they had promised it would be available for a long time, but the availability has just dropped off dramatically. So getting fine citrine like this is once again difficult, because before this source of this material, it had been probably 20 years since I'd seen these deep orange colors. So then that was coming out of Brazil probably back in the 90s. And then pretty much disappeared for 20 years and then rediscovered in Uruguay. And the source in Uruguay is real close to the border of Brazil. So it again was available for probably the last 15 years maybe, and now gone again. But really beautiful piece, $23.50 and 20% off with the coupon code Ring Show. I think the diamonds around this are probably F color, SI1 or VS stones. I don't have the specs on it, but it's everything about it is really well done. The cut on the stone is just beautiful. So if you want to order, you go to the banner at the top of the MoreGems website and click on that, and you'll find all these pieces and put in the coupon code Ring Show, and away we go. Up next, our favorite. Tanzanite's 50% of our business, and it's been a favorite of mine for so many years. Love the color. Love how it changes color in different lights, and just has a beautiful blue color in daylight and changing more to violet and incandescent. When you compare this to a sapphire, I mean, you'll see sapphires like this, and we've showed you some in the past shows that have color changed much like this. It's really a color shift. But this stone weighs over 5 carat. This is a piece that was meant to be a man's piece, but it really can go both ways. It can be a men's or a lady's piece, a bold lady's piece, or see this on my finger there, Jeff, or Mike. So this is a square cushion cut, and it weighs 517. I don't have the specs on the quality grade of the stone, but it's really a top quality stone. As you can see in the picture, the color is just a beautiful color. Completely clean, well cut stone, accented by fine diamonds. A little brush finish on the center of this piece, and some nice detail underneath. So a pretty piece, $74.90 is what we have on the website. 20% off, that's about $1,500 off that, so a little over $6,000 or thereabouts in the piece. But a lot of stone and a lot of mounting in this. I mean, nice heavyweight piece, weighs almost half an ounce. Is what the weight on this piece is. And up next is a morganite, and this is one of the finer morganites that I've cut. This is 7 carat, comes to us from Nigeria. The depth of the color is what's so important in this. Morganite is generally very pale. I mean, the color of morganite is never deep, but this is about as deep as you'll see a morganite. Coming from Nigeria, this will be natural color. It's unheat or not irradiated, as most of the material that's coming from Mozambique, which is the biggest supplier of material right now. Mozambique is generally irradiated to color, starting from probably a colorless barrel and irradiated to produce this peach color. But this one's all natural, and it's got a little more pink than what most of the material you see from Mozambique. So it's really a beautiful peach looking color, much like the Podparasha color in sapphire that we're going to show you later. Just a really extraordinary piece and beautiful diamonds around it, and a lot of diamond weight. Anybody have the diamond weight on that piece? Probably not.
Can you pull that up, Steve or Jeff?
Yeah.
Yeah, something I should have wrote down. We've been running all loose stones, which I have total information on, but this is new for our show, so a little unprepared. So there's 1.30 carats of diamonds in this. And what's it say the quality is? They're F and VS?
Yes.
So they're FVS diamonds, 1.3 carats. Another piece Christopher Michael designed, and there's our logo underneath. So clean, well cut, beautiful diamonds, just a beautiful piece throughout. The mounting, it weighs over 12 grams, so another one that's pushing close to half an ounce of gold. So we have a question.
Yeah, so this came through Messenger, and I know this is, being the digital guy I am, I know morganite is a popular engagement ring gemstone, which a lot of gemstones are becoming more popular in engagement rings. What do you think about this for an engagement ring? Would this style go well with that, or is this more of a fashion, special event?
Well, the style is what we've sold. Probably 50% of all the engagement rings we've sold in the last 10 years has been this style. Not generally as big as diamonds or as big as center stone, but the halo design has just been...
The same princess
Yeah. This is what princess die. Yes, yeah. This is basically a princess die ring. You know, back when I was traveling on the road selling wholesale, when Lady Di got her sapphire ring, which was a 7 carat. I mean, literally, it's probably very close to what this ring was. You know, I sold so many smaller, generally princess die rings. You know, it was just the most popular style back then. And again, for the last 10 years, this has been a style that's been extremely popular for engagement rings. So absolutely, it's an engagement ring style. You know, and morganite is so hot for engagement rings. You know, and the advantage of this piece is its depth of color, because most morganites that you sell in 2-3 carat sizes, which would be more typical of engagement rings, are so pale that they're barely noticeable that they're peach color. You know, it takes generally a bigger stone to get peach color, and this is about as deep a color as you'll see in morganite, even in this size. You know, and being natural is a huge benefit, just much more valuable as a natural untreated stone than it is as irradiated.
This is an oval cut, correct?
This is an oval cut.
Okay.
I'm not sure what we did on it exactly, but it's a brilliant style oval. Yeah, totally a brilliant style oval. So
Okay.
clean, well cut, just really a great stone, you know, but the color is as good as any we own. So it's $6,450, take 20 off, and you're down into 5,500, which, you know, you look at 1 carat engagement ring, and you can't buy a good 1 carat engagement ring with a diamond for 5,500. And here you're getting a 7 carat, really fine morganite that just blows even diamond away as far as rarity for this kind of material.
And, you know, back to the engagement ring talk again. Because women usually wear engagement rings every day, how is the hardness and durability of that stone?
Yeah, this is a great stone for durability. I mean, it is hard, one of the harder of the colored stones, and it just doesn't damage easily. I mean, you're not going to chip it, not that you can't chip anything. I mean, you can chip it, but it's going to hold up to everyday wear. So for an engagement ring, it's really a great stone, and that's why morganite's been popular for engagement rings, because it's got the durability, it'll hold up over many years' time. You know, you may end up scratching it and you have to polish it, but it's no problem repolishing stones like this. You know, and the one thing you have to remember, which we've mentioned in the past, is the barrels are not, barrel is aquamarine, emerald, morganite, goshenite, heliodor. They have a low refractive index. So what happens when they get dirty is they lose their brilliance. So you really need to keep them clean regularly. You know, owning an ultrasonic is feasible for everybody these days, and keeping stones clean is just so important. All gems, you know, the cleaner you keep them, the more you're gonna appreciate it and the more they're going to be noticed. And these low refractive index materials, quartz and barrels, you know, you just have to work harder at keeping them clean, just because they lose their brilliance quicker. You know, a diamond has a very high refractive index. It'll hold up to the grit and grime that gets on the back of them. Eventually they'll lose their brilliance also, but morganite will lose it quicker. So just keep them clean and you'll really be happy with the piece. And yes, engagement ring for sure. And up next is a stone I cut this week. All but one of the stones that we're featuring tonight, I've just cut this week. This is another morganite, a bigger stone. This is almost 27 carats. Again, a really nice color. You know, not quite as deep as what that ring had, but it's really, really a beautiful stone. This is all step cut crown, step cut pavilion. Step cut is just like steps. It steps from one to the next, and both the crown and pavilion are cut this way. I've been pretty heavily into step cuts lately. I think it's one cut that people do, cutters just don't get the value of the step cut. For some reason, they don't cut them often, but it's hard to get a more brilliant stone than what this is. This got that nice peachy pink color and really extraordinary brilliance. This comes from Ethiopia. This was a source from a year ago. Hadn't occurred there before that, and the source, I bought it once and haven't seen it again. Apparently there's tribal issues down in the mining area. This comes from an area that's also produced emeralds. We've got a few of the emeralds from there, and really beautiful stones also. And the ones we've cut have been all natural, no treatments, which almost doesn't exist in emeralds. We still have one piece with one of these stones. So this source has just produced some really great barrels. Again, barrels, aqua, emerald, this morganite. So this is really pretty morganite, weighs, you're looking at 27 carats. So our price on the site is $100 a carat. So you're going to take 20% off that with the coupon code RINGSHOW. And this will make a really beautiful pendant. I mean, it's a nice big size. So it's just, if I can figure out how to, everything's backwards in this camera. I have a hard time working forward, let alone backward. So anyway, yeah, nice size stone. And sticking into this same color range, our next piece is a real rarity. This is called Podparasha Sapphire. Podparasha is pink-orange sapphire, so it is the rarest color in sapphire. We've seen a lot of material lately, but it's all enhanced. It's all coated material. Back about 10 years ago, they started doing beryllium treatments to pink sapphire, and they created Podparasha-looking material out of what was pink. So not real material, it's just has a coating on it that actually, when they cook it in the oven with beryllium, it kind of goes into the crystal. So it makes it a little more difficult to identify because it's not just surface. The things that are surface coating, if you repolish it, everything comes off. But the beryllium treated material diffuses into the crystal. So if you polish it, it still will be there because it is going into it a millimeter or so. But beryllium treatment has very little value. It just made Podparasha look less rare than it is. But Podparasha is still the rarest color in sapphire and very, very high demand for this material. This particular stone I did send out for a GIA cert because there is so much of that treated material. And I don't know if you get this on there. Whoop. So even on the cert, they do, many things they don't actually name what the color variety is, but this, they give it a natural Podparasha sapphire. And what else is real important is the no indications of heating. So there's no treatment on this stone at all, which is rare in all sapphires. Sapphire typically, probably 90% of the certs that are done on sapphire will say indications of heating. So this is another rare thing in sapphires to get a no treatment on it. So this is a GIA report on this sapphire. So really a rare stone, and Christopher Michael did a really great job on it. This is a platinum shank with a 18 karat top on the piece. All very fine diamonds that are in it also. There's 134 diamonds set in this, And I think Michael Price set all these stones. Yeah. And Michael's a really great setter. He's doing our production, but he's also really a master craftsman in the shop. And I don't know how you can set all these diamonds like that. It's just beyond me. I can cut a stone, but I sure can't set a diamond. But really beautiful piece, beautiful color on the piece. Again, not an inexpensive piece, $14,900, but you're going to get 20% off that. And we, all these pieces, we never offer 20% off on items. We're really set up on our website to be non-negotiable, or occasionally we do a 10% off on things, but 20% is really as far as we have ever gone, and this is really a worthy piece to own. A viewer question.
Few of them. I brought this one up because we're talking about sapphire. Didn't know this was coming up, but there's a couple questions. There's a few throughout here. Okay, before we get into that, the morganites that we had earlier. Any way of telling fake versus real morganite?
Well, I don't know of a synthetic morganite. I can't say I've ever seen morganite synthesized. So I don't think fake, well, there's fakes of everything, but typically there's some other material. They're not beryl, or they're coated beryl. I just don't know of or haven't seen synthetics that are morganite color. I don't know why they can't produce it, because we sure produce a lot of synthetic emerald, but I can't say I've seen synthetic morganite. So I don't think generally it's an issue, but there are many imitations that can be out there, and those are typically easily separated. We've talked about the refractometer in the past that are available for $100, and dichroscopes. These are things that can separate out most of the fakes that you could run into.
Okay. Moving over to sapphire. Full name was asking, is there any clues in the inclusions of sapphires as to their geographical source?
Yes. And that's typically how they do identify them. That GIA cert says that it's from Sri Lanka. Whether that's because most of it's from Sri Lanka, that's that color. I've never seen that color from anywhere else, or whether the inclusions. But typically how they identify sapphire sources is the inclusions that are in them. And sapphires typically always have inclusions, as the Podbrasha does. You just don't find them typically not included. There's almost always something in it. So it makes identifying synthetic, because there are many synthetic sapphires, makes it easier to identify. The beryllium treated Podbrashas are easier to ID spectroscopically. So that's not a real issue. But synthetics are the things that are issues, and we typically use inclusions to do the separations of synthetic from naturals.
Okay. That answers a few questions. Two more.
Okay.
Is it okay to clean the back of a stone in a ring with a Q-tip and alcohol?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, almost anything. It's a good way to clean it. I mean, if you can get in there, you can use detergent and a toothbrush, or, but I've used Q-tips to get to the back of them, so some things you can put in ultrasonic, some things you can't. Ultrasonic is our best method of cleaning, but it's not good for everything. It can damage certain stones. So a Q-tip or a brush is really the way to clean a piece of jewelry. It's one of the ways that will do the trick.
Okay. And the last question, there was a lot of kind of chatter between a few people on here about Herkimer quartz.
About what?
Herkimer's.
Herkimer?
Herkimer? Is that how you
Okay.
pronounce it?
Yeah, Herkimer.
Herkimer.
Yeah.
Thoughts on Herkimer quartz?
Probably fun to go mine. I mean, it is, they call them Herkimer diamonds sometimes, but they're really quartz. And the thing I think that makes Herkimers important is sometimes the purity of the crystal, just how clear the crystal is, and but not always true of all Herkimers. But I think you can go fee mine there for Herkimers in New York, but that's about all I know about Herkimers.
Okay.
They have a unique crystal shape, and
Cool specimen.
yeah, they make nice specimens. So they've been popular for many years, and just an interesting source that if you want to go fee dig, you'd have to make sure the fee digging is available. But it is one place that you might consider. I'd choose Arkansas first because of the quantity of material that's available there. But yeah.
Great.
All right, what's next?
Let's see what is
Did I finish the pot project? Okay. All right. Another of my favorites, peridot's always been a favorite of mine. Well, not always. Since Pakistan was found, since the material was found in the Himalayas in Pakistan, peridot's just been, one of my favorites, just because the color is so much richer than any other source. They were available large size and just some beautiful material. And this is a really nice stone and a really cool mounting. Again, Christopher Michael designed it,
He said it too.
and he set it. And this is a tough setting job. Peridot is not the hardest stone on the planet, and one slip and you easily damage it. And so it's a big bezel. You literally hammer the metal over the stone, so it's easy to damage it. It's tough to get the bezel clean, so it's just a very hard job. Good job, Christopher.
Thanks.
Yeah, he doesn't usually do our bezel setting, but he sat down and did this, and I mean, it's just a clean job. So he designed it. He designed it and set it. So, real wearable piece, just a clean piece, just as low as it can be for such a big stone. Just a nice shape to it. Yeah. So this one, I don't know, it weighed 8 carat maybe. Yeah, it weighs just over 8 carats, which for peridots is a big stone. Peridot up to 5 carat, we find them, but you get above that and it gets much more difficult. So it's 18 karat yellow gold, $33.50 and 20% off for coupon code Ring Show. This material from Pakistan, was readily available, but difficult to find these days. I get a dozen pieces a year, pretty much is about all I'm seeing. And the next piece is something I get very rarely. This is rubellite. Rubellite meaning red tourmaline, ruby-like. So this is a 3 carat rubellite, just really a beautiful color. Comes from Brazil. This piece, $39.40 in the piece. Fine diamonds on the side. Again, simple piece, bezel set. It always scares me when we do bezels because you just never know whether you're going to be successful getting it in it, although we've done really good at it. But it's just such a hard way of setting stones, and probably takes 10 times the amount of time as it does to prong set a stone. A nice clean piece and really a nice stone. And for rubellite, it's a very clean stone. Rubellite, generally, like emerald, is always heavily included. You just don't find really clean rubelites. And this is why GIA has a system for grading colored stones. They have 3 groups, type 1 gems, type 2 gems, and type 3 gems. And this is based on how the clarity of the stone is. So this is a type 3 stone because it's rarely clean. It's almost always has inclusions. So what that does for an appraiser, you kind of look at a type 3 stone that what would grade a stone that would normally, like if I had a tanzanite, this would probably grade as an SI2, which means it has eye visible inclusions, and but this stone would probably get a VS grading because it's a type 3 stone. You kind of bump it up to 2 grades just to account for the rarity of the clarity.
Right. Nice rhyme.
So that's when you see things graded, you'll see notations on this piece of GIA type 3. So it'll say VS clarity GIA type 3, which means it really has some eye visible inclusions, but if I had a GIA type 1, like a tanzanite, that had eye visible inclusions, it would grade SI2 rather than VS. Yeah. Nice ring, nice size stone, wearable. Kind of give you an idea of what the size of the piece is. Question.
You keep, I guess, 2 questions. You're putting rings on your fingers a lot, so people are seeing your other ring.
Uh-huh.
So they're wanting to know what is it and what size fingers do you have?
I'm an 11. Used to be a 12.
Okay. And are you Aquarius or what's your sign? No.
Could you get the ring on there, Mike? Get Jeffrey off. So this is a tanzanite.
Get Jeffrey out of there.
Yeah, there's more important things than Jeffrey. It's this ring. This is a tanzanite ring, and all the rings I wear, they're available for sale. This is on the website. I've sold many, many rings off my finger. And this is a really fine tanzanite. If you go on the website, it's actually clean. It's got a fingerprint on it, but so this is another Christopher Michael design. I think this is 18 karat gold and maybe a 12 karat tanzanite. I should know these, but you go into Tanzanite Jewelry Designs is where you'll find this. That's our other website. These shows are based on MoreGems.com, which has the wide variety of stones, but Tanzanite Jewelry Designs is dedicated strictly to tanzanite. And tanzanite is 50% of our entire business. So there's a lot of tanzanite on there, and we have some great ones. And this ring's one of them, a really beautiful piece. And the other ring I have is an imperial zircon. It's a 2-tone piece. Imperial zircon comes to us from Tanzania. And in our past shows, we've had several imperial zircons because I love the color. Peach color has always been my favorite, so I am always buying peach whenever I can.
And I think that I just looked it up. I just posted it, but 10 karat, or 9.57 karat tanzanite.
Is what this is?
Yep.
Looks bigger. I deserve bigger. More questions?
No, they got your ring size, and and they're complimenting you on your nice hand modeling skills.
Oh yeah. These hands. Yeah.
Did he clean them up?
Look
People
at
were
my
asking if you got a
check
manicure.
my nails out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I quit
Really?
biting my nails, and I cleaned my nails this time. So
The salons are open in Indiana now, right?
yeah. I'm gonna have to start getting manicure.
Yep.
Yeah.
We'll get there.
So. Okay. Next up is this stone is from me and my boys' last trip to Oregon, the Sunstone Butte mine in Oregon, is where this one's from. And this one came out really great. You know, I've complained about the difficulty of cutting sunstone, and this was no treat either, because this one had some issues in cutting that almost drove me nuts. I won't go into what they were, but this stone, I bet I have 10 hours into it, because I've recut it twice. Just had some issue that kept things kept popping out of it, and I had to recut it. I recut the pavilion twice and the crown. Fortunately, I got through it and got a really great stone out of it. I knew it was going to be beautiful, but I almost gave up on it. But again, this is kind of that peachy color. This would be considered an orange Oregon sunstone. Just great brilliance, almost no schiller in it. You know, schiller is what sunstone's known for, is what gets it its name, is the schiller effect, which is little copper platelets that are in them. You know, but in a faceted stone, it just kills the brilliance. So finding them without schiller is what I'm after, so I can get a beautiful bright stone like this. You know, as soon as you put schiller in it, it just kills the brilliance. Some people think it's great, but I think it's death to a stone, personally. You know, and some people may take offense to that, but I like them clean and bright like this stone. It's just a beautiful, beautiful stone coming from the Sunstone Butte mine. Thanks, David. Really great stone, and I think the cut did it justice. You know, so it's 11 karat 36, $3,400 is our online price. And with the coupon code Ring Show, go to More Gems, and you can buy this for, I'm not even going to try and figure that, would be $680 off, maybe somewhere around $2,800. You know, so it's a big stone. I mean, it's not easy to find stones of this size in sunstone that have a nice even color like this, because to get a sunstone cut like this with this even color, you got to cut away 3/4 the stone, you know, because you got to get down to what's the color center that's in it is maybe a third of the entire stone. So the weight loss is always great to get a really beautiful sunstone like this. And this is a place you can go mining. You can go fee mining. You can't do it at the Sunstone Butte mine, but there are several mines there that you can fee mine, and you'll find some nice material worthy of cutting. Look at that stone. Really beaut. Yeah, I'm proud of that one. And up next, kind of a unique combination. We've done this a couple times. Only recently have these accent stones been available to us. The accent stones are demantoid garnet. They are greener than it appears in this iPhone picture, as you see on there. I mean, they're really a beautiful stone. They're known for their dispersion. They're fine green color. You know, as you get bigger, they get deeper color. But these small stones really make a nice combination with a tanzanite. This is a 3 karat tanzanite, again, a Christopher Michael design. So it just makes a nice, unique piece. $34.90 is the price online. Again, you'd find this on Tanzanite Jewelry Design. It is on More Gems also, but typically our Tanzanite is TanzaniteJewelryDesigns.com. So 20% off this with the coupon code RINGSHOW. And the depth of color on that stone is really excellent. You know, right now Tanzanite is far better than it's been in a long time. There's a good quantity of material available and just very, very deep colors. You start to see the reddish flash coming out of this material, and you know, that used to be so difficult to get, but currently it's available. I don't know how long that's going to be. There's been a changing situation in Tanzania, which has made the availability of goods better than usual. I would predict that the near future is not good because there's not mining going on right now. The buys are good now because people are desperate. But the near future, I would guess, is not real good. Hopefully that's not true, but there's so little mining going on right now because there's no travel, no buyers, no money to mine, and so there's going to be a shortage of material for a while. My prediction. Yeah. Question.
Back to the tanzanite you're wearing. I guess it's more of a general question about that, but I think a gentleman on here wants to know, how would you polish or repolish a stone that's bezel set?
Always difficult, more difficult. But because it's a protective setting, you're going to have less issues. I can get to the table of the stone, which is where most of the damage occurs anyway. The rest of the stone is somewhat protected. It's going to be difficult to get to the facets below the table to scratch them. You're just in a normal wearing, you're just not going to hit anything but the table. And the table, I can polish it. I can glue this ring up in the machine and polish the entire table, no problem. So more protective, less likely to get scratched, but bezels make it more difficult. If you have to recut the whole crown, you manage to do some damage lower in the piece, you have to get the stone out. And it is possible to get it out of a bezel. Not the easiest thing, and not the easiest thing to get it back. But you always can redo them. You can pull a stone, you can get it back in the bezel. Sometimes the bezel's not as clean as it was initially. Sometimes you have to replace the bezel. So you can completely replace the top of that bezel and reset the stone. So always more work when you got to repolish in a bezel, but typically more protected, so less likely that you're going to have to do it.
All right. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. And up next is another tanzanite I just finished. This is really a beautiful stone. I cut this shape because it was the shape of the rough, and any other shape would have had, I'd have lost 25% of it. When I cut it, I hoped the natural color would be good because we've sold a lot of natural sells for us, but it was just dark and not very pretty. So I didn't know how it was going to heat, but it heated extraordinary. I mean, this is really a beautiful, beautiful tanzanite. Weighs 5 carats, 74. Again, another step cut. Just really worked. I mean, it's a brilliant stone, clean, bright, and just the color. More blue, although it still changes to violet and incandescent, but it really has a great blue color as well as a great incandescent violet blue color. It's one of the nicer stones I've cut this year or in the last several years. Yep, somebody forgot to disconnect the phones. Sorry about that. So a beautiful stone, and Chris has worked on a design for this as a pendant. Doesn't have to go that way, but this is the design he did. Really cool piece. He did this today. So it's got round diamonds and baguettes running up the center of the piece. So there's another design, putting some color in it. We've done this combination with Savarite garnets, and it's worked out real well for us. It's just a unique color combination, kind of like with the demantoid garnets, where you do all diamonds, or we can put this in some other piece. We can do this in many designs, and that same pendant we can do for many different stones. It can be pear-shaped, can be oval, can be pretty much anything. So anything you see on our websites, we can pretty much make it for most any stone. Chris is real versatile at producing or reproducing a piece to fit a particular stone. And when you redo a piece, it's not as expensive as creating something completely new. So anything you find on our website that you like, we can cut a stone for that piece in that shape, or we can reproduce the mounting to fit any shape. So really nice tanzanite. And it's $38.75 is the price on the stone, and 20% off on a tanzanite. And we never do 20% off on tanzanites. Can't say never because this one is, but it's not something we would typically do. So I think it puts this stone about $5.40 a carat, which is very reasonable for a stone of this quality, because this is as good as it gets.
Can you hold that one up to your finger too?
To my finger? Sure. Set it next to get it in the screen there. So make a nice men's ring too. And next up, that combination of Tsavorite and tanzanite. This is kind of a Victorian-looking piece. Is that what we call it, wouldn't it, Chris?
I don't know, I didn't do that one.
Yeah. No, this is one of the few pieces Chris didn't do.
I think Margot did that one.
Well, she said it, but
Yeah.
yeah. This is a piece I saw from one of our supplier, and this antique-looking style has always been popular. So I've actually done this piece twice. I did it with one of those Ethiopian emeralds. I've got a 2-carat emerald set in a platinum piece, not with the color, with all diamonds. But this is a nice, unique combination. Nice tanzanite, and the Tsavorite at the bottom of the piece is really a beautiful stone. I think it's over a carat. So quite a bit of Tsavorite in it. Jeff, you got any numbers on that?
Yeah. Let's see. We are tanzanite's 1.78, and the Tsavorite garnet is 1.31.
So it's a carat 31 on the Tsavorite on the bottom. And the others are Tsavorites, the Tsavorite marquise, and some fine round diamonds with it. And it's set in rose gold. So just a nice looking piece. So $53.50 is the price on the whole piece, and 20% off with coupon code Ring Show. So about $1,000 off that. So $4,300, and this will be a striking piece to wear. So. The Tsavorite garnets come from Tanzania. Sometimes from Kenya. I believe this one's from Tanzania. Originally discovered by Campbell Bridges. He was the discoverer. He found it in Tanzania, was forced out of Tanzania, went into Kenya, where he followed the geology and found similar deposits in Kenya, which is kind of amazing to go across the border. And it's probably, I don't know, a couple 100 miles or 100 miles separation between the two. And the Bridges family still mines the Tsavorite in Kenya. Yeah. And up next is a Tsavorite garnet, and this is really a beautiful stone. For a Tsavorite, this is the right color, very high clarity for a Tsavorite garnet, and over 2 carat gets into a rare size for Tsavorite garnet. This is an antique cushion, weighs 214. And it has VS1 clarity, so unusually clean for Tsavorite. Just a really bright stone, and the color is right on it. I mean, it's slightly bluish green, which is the best of the material. Yeah, which the iPhone does not show the color well. But Pretty stone.
Show the size in your hand.
Yeah, there you go. Whoop. So not a large stone, but in the right mounting, be a very, very lovely piece. And the antique cushion, just a popular cutting style right now. But the big thing is the clarity of this stone, other than the color. It's unusual to see them this clean. So the price $33.75 and 20% off that coupon code Ring Show. And I got a question there, Jeffrey.
So it was kind of talked about in here, but I know we've discussed this before. But sites like Etsy or eBay or all those other bidding sites where they have some, we pride ourselves in really amazing stones, but you see some of these really cheap stones out there.
Yeah.
Maybe they're saying they're natural, and who knows if they are or not. Can you give us some of your thoughts on those bidding sites that are selling, really cheap stones?
There's just, I'm sure there's some reliable people out there. A lot of crooks. I've been taken twice. Even I get taken. You think you got somebody you trust. I had one referral, and it ended up being not as quoted. And even took don't go there. Yeah, I got taken, and we actually drove 8 hours to go to small claims court to try and get it back, but it didn't work out because the judge and the person were related. So it was a wasted 8-hour trip. But I take offense when people take advantage of me, and your odds of getting taken advantage of on those sites. I don't know a whole lot about Etsy, but eBay, boy, I won't even say it. I mean, I could probably get sued for what I want to say. But there are so many fraudulent things on the internet. It's difficult to just buy colored gems when you know what you're doing. But if you're not buying from somebody that you feel is reliable, your odds of getting taken are huge, and just, I can't say any more about that, but, I don't want to get in trouble, but you're taking your risks when you buy from anybody online. I mean, it literally is, it's who you know in this business, who you trust. It's totally a trust business, because if I want to take you, I can easily do it. The synthetics that are out there are difficult and for most impossible to identify. So it's really a trust business from the start. I buy from the source. I know the people at the source. I buy from mines. And, the closer you are to the source, the less likely you're going to be taken. Not that I haven't been taken at the source, which I have, but you just got to know what you're doing or know who you're dealing with, is the only way to deal in the colored stone business.
Like your pop bottle tourmaline.
My pop, yeah. One deal. I don't know if we've talked about this. One deal was I bought a piece of rough. Where was it? Must have been in Madagascar. And looked great, beautiful green. I don't remember what it was represented as, but when I got back to the hotel and started looking at it, took the loop to it, and there was a number 8 on the bottom. So it was a bottom of a pop bottle, but it was cheap, and, you're dealing on the streets, and, you buy things quickly. I probably only paid him $10, $15, who knows how much it was, but it was the bottom of a pop bottle. So I'm sure it cut a beautiful stone, but
Now, would you have known, let's say it didn't have that 8. You had taken it and got ready to cut it, and then you're like, okay, wait a minute.
Well, you test them. I mean, eventually test them, and there were so many ways that could separate it. once you're in a place that you have equipment, it's just so easy. You know, when you're out in the middle of nowhere and you've got a microscope and you've got a loop and, you know, you can get taken. You know, I bought a synthetic sapphire for $1,000 once in Madagascar. You know, again, it's somebody that you knew and they thought we could trust this guy, and, you know, it was late and, you know, it looked right. But synthetics are really difficult to ID, you know, without the proper equipment. And the equipment I carry, there's no way of identifying it, you know, so it just looked right, and, you know, made the mistake and bought $1,000 piece of rough that wasn't real. It was a synthetic sapphire. I ended up getting, I think, $300 or $400 for it when I cut it as a synthetic and sold it as a synthetic. So I only lost $600, but you know, but it happens, you know, especially when you're out in the middle of nowhere with no equipment. And that's when you're buying from eBay. You're kind of like me, out in the middle of nowhere, no equipment, and just, you know, trusting yourself. And I think I know it all, but I can still get taken. I think most of you probably don't know a whole lot, so your odds of getting taken, I shouldn't say that, but you know not enough to ID things, so you're going to get taken when you buy on sites like eBay, and you know, so. But it's always fun to take the chance if you're willing to lose the money. You know, it's there's no giveaways out there. If it's too cheap, there's something wrong. You know, this is a business that the material has a value that is known throughout the world, especially these days, you know, because we're all used to dealing online now. So everybody around the world knows what prices are. It's very difficult overseas even to get the deals we used to, because everybody out there, they go online, they can see what everybody's selling for. You know, they see me, they go online, see what I'm selling it for, and I'm sure it starts to affect prices. I don't know where that started, but anyway, the whole market has changed with the internet. So you're not going to make a steal out there. You know, if it just seems too good to be true, as the what do you call that? If it's too good to be true, it's not true. So
All
keep
right.
that your rule, and you know, you only get taken 50% of the time.
All right.
Okay. Sorry, I don't mean to offend anybody, but you know, it's a risky market out there for me, and more for you. So, did we finish this Savorite?
I think so.
Okay. Moving on. Another garnet. You know, this is garnets have always been my favorites. Love garnets, and it's really been a great business for the last 4 or 5 years, just because of the new sources, and this was one of them. This is an umbellite. Umbellite garnet is a garnet originally from the Umba Valley in Tanzania. I say originally because most of this material is from other sources now. You know, we get a name for something like umbellite, and then they find it in some other source, which is still in Tanzania. But it just because of the color looks like umbellite, we still retain the name umbellite, because typically the color is got a name, and because of the color and the name associated with it, the price has gone up significantly, which is true of many of the garnets right now. The Mahenge garnets that came out in the last 5 years and this type of material are totally new to the garnet market. I mean, these are colors that my whole time in business, I just died to have colors like this 10 years ago, 15 years ago. This kind of color just wasn't available. But currently available, although the supply has dropped dramatically again. You know, all the material out of Mahenge and Tanzania is no longer available, and the value has just shot up dramatically. You know, and garnets were undervalued for so long. Really, the increase in value, what we're seeing now, they're just so worthy of that higher price, just because they have such brilliance. The colors are extraordinary, and often the look and the color is not available on any other stone. So they really have a value that is worthy of the increases we've seen. So this is a piece $26.90. I mean, fine diamonds on it. Chris designed the piece. It has a 3-carat umbellite garnet. Umbellite is like rhodolite, but brighter and more fuchsia colored, if you will, than what rhodolite garnet is. So it brings significantly more money than your typical rhodolite. So a nice round, probably a mixed cut round brilliant. But that's the color we like in our red garnets. This is the most demanded color. So the next item is probably our most popular seller on the shows. Don't get them often, but these natural colored tanzanites have just been really, really good salability. This is just a unique color that you don't see in any other gem. I mean, it's totally unique in the gem business. This is called diesel color, kind of that brownish, reddish, bluish. If you look in a can of diesel fuel, you'll know what the color diesel means. And they call it that in Tanzania just because of that. When you look down in a diesel fuel, it's got that reddish body color and a blue highlight to it. But this is a 4-carat 33, and again, it's a step cut. I've gone nuts with step cuts, but their biggest advantage is the yield you can get out of a material. You just cut the girdle and follow it with steps, and it just gives you a very high yield from material. Again, totally underused by most cutters because it has a good brilliance and gets you high yield. And that's the key to making money in cutting gems is not wasting most of it. Most of these stones, you lose 70% of the rough material you start with. I've been fortunate to get a little better yields, and sometimes I can get 50% yield out of a stone, which is, even for me, a rare thing. But I've cut a lot of tanzanites that I've got 50%, and I probably got 40 or so percent out of this one. But the step cuts are good at that. They're good for showing a unique brilliance, and step cuts always been known for its ability to show the color of a gem better than other cuts. When you cut a brilliant cut, it kind of can affect the color of the stone. Whoop. That's okay. I can cut those chips out. No, they're pretty durable. Tanzanite is, when it comes to damage other than scratching, tanzanite is really a pretty durable stone. I don't see major damage to it. Sometimes when we're setting, we can damage a stone, but generally in wear, what you do to it is scratch the surface. Repairs on tanzanite are, if I have to recut a whole crown on a stone, the stone that weighs 433, maybe we'd end up with a 4-carat stone. So that's the typical kind of loss you do to repolish a whole top of a stone. And given 10 years of wear in a ring, you're going to end up having to repolish the stone. But not a great loss, and you really end up with the same stone you had to begin with. You don't lose generally the size, millimeter size, and the width and length, but you just lose a little bit of weight. There we go. And yeah. So this is heated versus unheated, but this unheated stone, it's something if you buy an unheated stone, a color like this is going to hit color like the one in my ring. I mean, this is going to really hit a beautiful deep color. This is the same parcel of rough as that unusual shape one we just saw earlier. And we'll hit somewhere near that color. It's hard to predict exactly, but this will be a beautiful stone heated. So you can have a natural stone and you can always heat it. It's 24 hours away from being a blue stone. And a stone like this, almost no risk in heating. If there's inclusions in it, you have some risk, but this is a good clean stone and will heat with no problem and really be a remarkable color. Question, Jeff?
Yeah, with tanzanite, question about if you ever have problems with the cleavage when cutting tanzanite.
Never. I've never seen the cleavage plane to my memory. I've never seen it be an issue.
Twin crystals, though?
Well, twin crystals different. That's not involving the cleavage plane. And I'm not sure that they're an issue. Twins are two crystals that grow together. Kind of like, what can I show? I don't have a twin crystal. Somebody give me a twin crystal. But they grow together like this. I mean, two crystals. Whoop.
Where's that camera?
Where's that camera? Two crystals, they grow together like this. And we did a video on a twin crystal where I cut two stones out of it. It is something, if it was a smaller stone, maybe I'd have considered cutting one stone out of it. You could see there was a plane there, but I'm not sure. I think I've cut a twin crystal and cut them together, and I'm not sure. But so you split twin crystals and don't take the risk of that they would hold together. I'm sure it's a weaker point in the crystal, and you may see the plane that is between the two crystals when you cut a stone like that.
But no issues with cleavage?
No issues with cleavage. Tanzanite does have one direction of cleavage, but I've never seen it an issue. I don't consider it when I cut it. It's not even something I think about. So no issue at all, in my experience. I'm sure somebody's experience, because the cleavage plane can open up on you just like a diamond. I had a friend that, Mark, if you're out there, his wife hit her diamond on one of these garbage can swinging lids, and it just cleaved it right in half. The cleavage plane, if you hit it correctly. I don't know if anybody remembers the old commercial where the guy's sitting in the back of a Lincoln Continental and he's cleaving a diamond. I don't know if they were doing something about the smoothness of the Lincoln Continental, I think. And so you put a sharp point, a blade, right on the cleavage plane, and you tap it right, and it just splits right there. So that's what cleavage planes. It's a plane between the atoms that in one direction, or in the case of sphalerite, in 6 directions, you can cleave it that way, and you can cleave it all the way down the crystal. If the crystal's long like this, if the cleavage plane is parallel to the C-axis, you could cleave it all the way down this just by hitting it with a sharp point, and it'll just split on you. But I don't see that in tanzanite. Any other questions? Okay, this stone was $2,920. 20% off. We'll put it in the $2,400 range. So it's a stone $500 a carat, which for tanzanite is very reasonable material for something of this quality. And getting naturals these days is very, very difficult. I don't get the material to cut. And don't see people producing naturals overseas. The demand is for blue, but what I see is when I produce a natural, it sells. It's a kind of a sure thing for me. you know, just because of the small availability of naturals. And people like natural, and the color of these naturals is unique. I mean, there's literally no other gem that looks like a natural tanzanite. You know, you could identify this tanzanite from any other gem just by its look. You know, if you've seen enough of these, there'd be no question what this gem is. And what you're going to see in here that you don't see in a treated stone, if you have a dichroscope, which we've done reviews on the dichroscope. This is the dichroscope, and when you look through it, it shows you the two windows. And in dichroic stones, this one will be one color and the other one will be another color. In tanzanite, because there's 3 axes, so you have the A axis, the B axis, and this way a C axis. And each one of those has a different color, so it's trichroic. So using this dichroscope in this natural stone, you'll see blue, purple, and yellow. Now, in the one I'm wearing, you're only going to see blue and purple, because once you heat it, the yellow is gone, and you leave it as a dichroic stone, although it's still considered a trichroic stone. So heated is completely different from that standpoint. The yellow has disappeared, and the yellow is what's making it look this diesel color rather than the blue-purple we're used to. So next stone is peridot. Just finished it this morning. And this is a Portuguese round. Again, as I've said over and over, Portuguese round is our most popular cut. They just always sell. Tanzanites, it's a sure thing for me. I cut them whenever I have the opportunity. But unfortunately for most material, including peridot, the crystal is really not suited for rounds. You know, the crystal is longer length to width. So unless you run into inclusions that keep you from cutting some other shape, you don't typically cut a round because it'll yield a much bigger stone as some other shape. Usually ovals would be the most typical that you would see peridot cut in. So this round Portuguese has 161 facets. As I've said, it's a monotonous cut to cut. But with the right machine, it's relatively easy, just a lot of facets to polish. Yeah. But the effect is pretty extraordinary. You know, it kind of spirals in and has a brilliance that's unlike any other cut. You know, the stone not completely flawless, but that's the nature of peridot. Peridot is one of those class 2 stones, GIA type 2. So not typically clean, but this will be eye clean. And in the video with the macro lens, you can see the inclusions, but it's going to be very, very difficult to see anything with the naked eye in this stone. You know, and just so much brilliance. So beautiful stone. Comes from Pakistan. Again, really great source for peridot. $640, 20% off with the coupon code RINGSHOW. Question, Jeffrey?
Yes. So this peridot being from Pakistan, do you find that Pakistani peridot is better quality than other areas around the world?
It's the best. You know, it's produced the finest stones. It's a little bit blue-green, which, like most stones, like emeralds and savarite garnets, that little bit of blue rather than yellow is what makes them more valuable. You know, and Pakistan has really produced the best material from any source. Arizona was the main producer most of my time in business, but definitely leaning towards the yellow coloration. and it's why most people in the past used to say, I hate my birthstone. When Pakistan came out, somebody would say that, and you show them a Pakistan material, they go, oh, that one's not bad, because the quality of the material is so much better, such much prettier stone. It is one of my favorites to cut, and partly because it used to be such an ugly gem that this material from Pakistan has changed people's outlook on peridot. Unfortunately, the availability has dropped dramatically, but hopefully I'll have stones regularly, because we have good sources in Pakistan. Just don't get much material, and sometimes it's just so expensive that you just can't touch it. We saw a parcel in Tucson recently that I would have just loved to have had, but it cost me more than what I could sell it for, in my opinion. That's top quality peridot really has I don't know what the limits of the value are, because it is so beautiful and so difficult to get now. But I have my limits as far as price range, and getting $500-600 a carat for peridot just seems beyond my ability. So we'll get 10-15 stones a year and be happy with them, and hopefully they'll cut Portuguese rounds. More questions?
Yeah, we ready for more?
Yeah.
You ready for the ending questions?
Sure.
All right. Here we go. Let's see. Okay, so for like the stones that we showed some of the jewelry tonight, and we have a ton more, available on More Gems. But say someone sees a stone they love, but it's already set in a piece of jewelry. Would we ever be willing to take out that stone to set in this different piece for them?
It's sometimes possible. It depends on how it's set. If they're bezeled, no way. It's not coming out of a bezel. I can't reset something back in it. Some prong set styles, if it's a size and a shape that I may either have a stone that I could put back in it and we think we can get it out without damaging anything, it's possible. You can always ask, so we've done it in the past, and when it's not too difficult, and we will consider doing that, yes.
Okay. Any new stones you've seen that you're excited about?
Brazilian amethyst. That was nice.
Yeah, well, there was some Brazilian amethyst recently, that I should have bought more. I have a lot of amethyst sitting there. I haven't cut Rwanda material that I still have. But when it's available, you need to buy a lot of it. And there was material out of Bahia, Brazil, that was just priced right. The colors were right. And I did buy some, but I should have bought kilos of it, because as quick as it's there, it's gone. And that material, to my knowledge, is gone. So I should have grabbed more, but didn't need it. But I know better than to buy because I need it. You buy it because it's there. And when it's priced that well, you buy it all if you can.
Okay.
But other than that, I haven't seen much new in the market. I've heard of some green barrels, and I just haven't seen a whole lot of anything new. And because of the situation with the virus, it's going to stop mining for a while, and I don't think we'll see much new for a while. Hopefully we see something, and hopefully this is over and hasn't affected the mining areas too badly, but I think right now it's affecting everybody, so it's kind of stopped the world production of anything, so could be a tough year for material. So fortunately I have enough to keep me probably for a year cutting, but after that, I'm going to be desperate for goods. I just hopefully that we can get back traveling, and we can all take our trip to Tanzania and get some material from Tanzania again.
Speaking of Tanzania, we showed one of the natural tanzanite earlier. Somebody was asking if we have or plan on cutting any that are smaller, like under 2 carats.
Like to, just can't get material. I've got some friends that are over there, and we've talked about it, and we may talk about it again. He's emailed me with interest to get at some cutting, and with the situation in the world now and the situation with business at the time, it's hard to go into a new venture, but I could see doing more of that. I cut a lot of tanzanite. I'd like to do more cutting and some cutting in Tanzania, and having the ability to pick the natural stones that are beautiful out of them and heat the rest is really the way to go. But getting rough out of the country, it changes regularly. It was available that you could export 2-gram pieces of rough up till last November, and that's, I think, changed again. So I don't know what the future is going to be, and just need to get back to Tanzania. We've been trying to get there since November. It just hasn't happened, and that is my goal, to cut more naturals, because I think it is a market that is untapped, and I'd like to go after it.
All right. Do you ever consider doing fantasy cuts?
Well, I have. It's a lot of work, and they're not more saleable than what I'm doing currently. I am buying a machine that has an attachment to do concave faceting, so that'll probably be the next thing I do. The Ultratech machines, which is the machine I'll be cutting on soon, and we'll be doing a lot of cutting videos coming up. The Ultratech is a really great machine and has an attachment for doing concave faceting, which is in a way a fantasy cutting, because it's cutting like grooves, but they're more rounded, they're concaves, and they produce a unique brilliance. So that's something we'll be working on in the near future. And I've done fantasy cuts in the past. I haven't really worked hard at it or been particularly great at it, because it takes a lot of practice and a lot of time. It's like the opals that I do, which are fantasy cut because they're really carved stones, which is kind of what fantasy cutting is doing. And I've done a lot of carving in opal, but it takes a huge amount of time. It's triple the time that it takes to facet a stone, and 10 times the time it takes to cab a stone. So you really have to dedicate yourself to doing fantasy cuts. And I just don't find the market that much greater. I mean, it is popular, and people like to see it, and it gets you a name as a cutter when you do fantasy cutting. And I originally dealt with the original fantasy cutter, which was Munsteiner. I used to travel to Germany, and I bought from him in Kirschweiler and near Eder Oberstein. And so I was into fantasy cuts early, and just cutting them is a challenge. There are some great cutters out there. You look at some of the work that they're doing, and it's really amazing. And the fantasy cutting on sunstone is one place I see that it's a worthwhile effort, because sunstone's tough to accent the colors correctly, and I see a lot of work done with sunstone that really works well for these stones that are pleochroic. They have 2 colors in 2 different directions. One direction's green, one direction's red. Difficult to facet those correctly, but some of the fantasy cutting is really cool in those stones, and that would be a reason I would fantasy cut.
All right. Another cutting question. Have you cut or carved fire agate?
No. Looks like a pain in the... and it is difficult. You cut through the color so quickly, and I don't think the availability of quality fire agate is there right now. I haven't seen much rough. I haven't followed it, and I could be wrong at that, but I don't see a lot of fine fire agate out there, and so it's not something I'm ever going to go after.
Okay. Another cutting question. I think you get asked this every week, but what is your... Okay, three-part question here. You ready? What's your favorite stone to cut? Your favorite stone in general? And what do you think is a good stone for a beginner to practice on?
Garnet, garnet, garnet. Yeah,
That's
that's
it?
what I think. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I love garnets. Garnets are available. If you want to find some garnet, New Era gems. A little plug for New Era. Terra is doing a great job, and at 5 o'clock, which is 5 o'clock California time, I think. If you go on YouTube and look up New Era Gems or Steve Ulatowski, they're doing what we're doing. And,
Facebook, or are they on YouTube as well?
oh, they're on Facebook. Yeah, it's on Facebook. And they're selling a lot of garnets, and those are things that you can do a really good job for. You just got to avoid buying the really dark ones because they're hard to make pretty, but there's just a lot of inexpensive garnet out there that'll cut beautiful stones, easy to polish, and just a wide variety of color that you're going to be happy that you have. So check out New Era Gems on Facebook. Terra is doing the 5 o'clock, I'm not sure what they call it, but it's 5 o'clock California time. And you can find some stones very inexpensively, really worthwhile buying.
All right. Let's see. Okay, so why do some untreated sapphires fluoresce under UV lights and some don't?
Some untreated sapphire fluoresce under UV light. All right, Chris, step in here. Not you, Chris. Chris Clemens, where are you? Chris Clemens is the president of the Midwest chapter of Fluorescent Minerals, and he's the guy to ask. And I don't know that is true or not. I don't have the answer to that. Why some fluoresce and some do not? It seems to me they all fluoresce. Everything I've seen fluoresces, but there sometimes is mineral, I think maybe iron quenches fluorescence. So that would be the one reason that it would not fluoresce. And Chris will help me out on that. Chris, where you at? But that would be my guess, that stones with iron may not fluoresce. Michael, isn't that what you remember?
Yeah, that sounds
Iron
familiar,
quenches fluorescence.
Yeah.
So that may be one of the reasons, but most of them do fluoresce.
All right. Another question. With the diesel tanzanite that you showed earlier, would that be best for just a women's ring, or what do you think about doing it in a men's ring?
Why not? Yeah, no, it's a manly color. It's cool for anybody. I'll have to do one for myself, as you suggested. It's just a unique color that nobody will know what it is. Go, oh, what's that? I've never seen anything like that, and that's pretty much true. Nobody sees this material at all. Everything's heated, so some of these naturals I have are at this time the rarest stones on the planet. The 29 karat natural I have, there's not a rarer stone on the planet because it's got extraordinary color, it's natural, and find another one. You won't find another one. So, not that we can't produce them, because if you don't heat them, you got a natural, but only like 10% of them are pretty enough to keep as natural. The other ones you heat because they're brown. They're just not not particularly pretty. So not all naturals will show a pretty color.
Do you have that?
The
Can you
natural-
compare it to the diesel tanzanite? Compare it to the on your the ring on your finger. Just put them side by side.
or the one I treated?
Yeah. I'm gonna change the beauty.
Okay. Oh, and against the one the ring you're wearing.
Oh.
I think this is probably a question about doing a match ring with it.
Oh, okay. But these two are from the same parcel. You know, I'm not sure that this one will get quite this color, but it could. I mean, it'd be very close. You know, I could only hope that it hit this color, but the rough was very similar, you know. But this one was just, it was just brown. You know, it didn't have any of the blue like you see in this. But boy, it heated nice. Whoop. Okay.
Cool.
All right. And one more, I believe, question. And anybody, if you got more, just let us know real quick here. But last question: any cool projects you're working on next?
Well, with the new Ultratech faceting machine, we'll be doing cutting videos. Will be the big thing. We'll produce those sometime here in the next month. Hopefully, I have the machine here in a couple weeks. I went with Ultratech because the two machines that I currently possess are no longer produced. I'm very happy with the machines I have, but no longer produced, no more parts, so they have a finite life. My son Michael wants to cut, and we need another machine. He's not going to get the Ultratech, but we'll give him a machine that works real well and cut most of these stones here tonight. But the Ultratech will be doing some cutting videos on that, and we're going to probably start with 1,000 carat blue topaz. It'll cut into two stones, but one of them should be at least 300 carats. So we'll do a whole series of videos on that. So that's our next project. So we'll be unboxing it soon, and you'll see that as well as what we cut with it. So
I want to see a big gem. That's the only thing I got.
this, as far as
Big gem.
big gem. Here's
Somebody wanted to see a big gem.
Oh, I see. So this is an ametrine. If I had a good light, I mean, you can kind of catch the yellow that's in it, but basically it's a purple. So this one's from Brazil, isn't it?
Bolivia.
Oh, this is Bolivia. So this is, you know, we've showed you ametrines. This is the material coming from Bolivia. There are some scepters that are coming from Brazil, but this is the really fine material that came out of Bolivia. This type of material is available on Mineral Mike. That's my son's Michael's site, and he does all crystals. So this is available, which is cool. I mean, if you look at all the terminations on it, really is a nice specimen. And he's got some beautiful opals for faceting for some of you facetors out there. Faceting and cabbing. So that's mineralmike.com. Thanks, Mike.
All right, and
That's a big rock.
your boy Chris has chimed in.
All right. The answer is
So he said the fluorescence in sapphire is activated by the chromium and iron.
okay. So
That
the
makes
question was, why do some not fluoresce? Do you know, Chris, of any that don't fluoresce? I don't. My knowledge is almost everything in sapphire fluoresces. So we'll see if he.
We'll see. He's on Facebook right now.
Oh, okay. He's a slow typer.
We need to get him on a Zoom.
Yeah.
We'll see if he says anything here, but otherwise we can post it in the comment section.
Yeah, we'll look further into that and give you an answer.
Okay.
Okay.
I think that is, let me do one last check here. That is it.
All right. So go on More Gems and take a look at everything we've shown you tonight. Again, 20% off on that. And through tomorrow, those opals that we showed you last week, they're half off. And after that, they're going to go back to regular price. So there are some really good values. We sold a lot of them. You know, we had 20 pieces. We probably sold half or more of them. But, it's worthwhile looking at those because those are some really incredible opals, as well as the one I showed you tonight is unbelievable. So another question.
Not a question. Chris did. Chris is
Chris-
a fast typer. He
Oh,
typed
yeah,
this
that's
pretty quick.
good. Yeah, not,
You
not
know,
so,
we're probably
not
on a
as slow as
small
I
delay.
thought.
Yeah, we're on a small delay, so you got to give him a couple minutes here.
Yeah, a millisecond delay. Yeah.
So Chris did say yes, he has seen non-fluorescent sapphire.
Okay, so there are non-fluorescent sapphire. He didn't give a reason why, but
No.
I thought iron was what caused in some things keeps it from fluorescing. But when we find out more, we'll post it somewhere or we'll talk about it
Next week's show.
Yeah, I don't know. Was there a question last week that we were going to try and answer? I think there was, but I can't remember what it was. So, yeah. So, all right, folks, remember, shop online at MoreGems.com, as well as subscribe to us on YouTube at MoreGems. That's going to do it for us today. I appreciate you all showing up. Sign up for alerts for when we go live, which has been every Wednesday night at 7:05 p.m. Central Standard Time, which is Chicago time. And also check out our video links and info at the bottom of the stream. So until next time, I'm Steve Moriarty, and keep on gemming.